Welcome back, everybody. Today is a special video dedicated to Michigan basketball. I haven't made a video in a little while. I was preoccupied with some school, just with other stuff, but it's been a great time if you're a Michigan basketball fan. And coming off a huge victory at The Ohio State University in Columbus on Sunday afternoon, 92-87. Massive win. I think probably one of the biggest victories I've watched this team have in a regular season game. One of the best played games all around I can remember a Michigan team having. Just exciting stuff. The purpose of today's video is to break down the scenarios regarding the Big Ten title, regarding Michigan's quest for the Big Ten title. So, Michigan's last Big Ten title victory, which the 2013-14 season, for those who have trouble remembering that far back, Nick Stauskas was the leader of that team. Glenn Robinson, Spike Albrecht. That was the year after the Final Four appearance. They made the Elite Eight that year and lost to Kentucky on an Aaron Holiday buzzer beater, basically. That team was really good, and it's the last time Michigan's won the Big Ten title, which is kind of shocking because Michigan's been really good for the past 5 years and hasn't really come close to winning a Big Ten title. So this is obviously momentous because the Big Ten is the best conference in basketball, and if Michigan can win the Big Ten, that is something they'll always be able to say. I mean, one of the strongest conferences of all time, I'd argue. 3 teams in the top 5, 4 teams in the top 7. You look right here. Michigan, Illinois, Ohio State, and Iowa are 4 of the best teams in college basketball, and Michigan is leading the charge at 11-1 in conference play, with that one loss obviously coming on the road against Minnesota, who's all the way down here. Minnesota's all the way down here. They're not a factor. They're struggling to make the tournament. That was our only loss, though. That was Michigan's only loss. Since then, they've beaten Maryland and Purdue, gone on a super long COVID break for 23 days, and come back and taken care of business against Wisconsin and Rutgers before that awesome victory against Ohio State. So, 11-1 right now. The issue for Michigan is that they have missed a chunk of games on their schedule. They will not be replaying games that they were previously scheduled against Indiana, Northwestern, and Penn State. Those games have been scrapped from the schedule. Now, Michigan still has upcoming games. Michigan still has 6 upcoming games. If they manage to probably go 5-1 or 4-2, they'll most likely win the Big Ten title outright. That is the goal. Winning the Big Ten title outright is the goal, and I think it should be expected, although not too much expected. I think Michigan's looks like the best team in the Big Ten, but things can change on a dime. So, if we go here, Michigan right now has a 2-loss lead. Oh, let's go back here really quick. Sorry about this. Michigan has a 2-loss lead over Illinois. The only real competition in the Big Ten for the title. Ohio State, Michigan just beat in the head-to-head game. Iowa still, Michigan is yet to play Iowa. Potentially Iowa's a factor, but I doubt it. I don't think Michigan's losing 4 games down the stretch. Illinois is the team that Michigan has to worry about because Illinois is looking like one of the best teams in college basketball, coming off a 31-point drubbing of Minnesota at the Barn, which is always a tough play, Williams Arena in Minneapolis. Illinois has the most talent in the Big Ten, in my opinion, with Ayo Dosunmu, star freshman Adam Miller, Andre Curbelo, and then you got Kofi Cockburn and a bunch of talented supporting cast guys. But Michigan has the better record right now, so if they can just hold on as we look at the schedules. Obviously, this Thursday, Michigan against Iowa. Probably the second biggest game left in the season. I mean, definitely the second biggest game left in Michigan's regular season. Iowa's a little hot on a 4-game win streak. Luka Garza's playing well. Joe Wieskamp's playing well. Jordan Bohannon's starting to cook a little bit. This game will be a very difficult one. It's at the Chrysler Center. Michigan does play well at the Chrysler Center. But Iowa's going to be tough. I think they're going to be tougher than Ohio State just purely because Luka Garza's the best center Hunter Dickinson has seen by far this year. And in the game Michigan lost to Minnesota, Liam Robbins was the reason. He was killing Hunter. He had like 26 points or something in that game, and he was the reason Michigan lost that game. There were other reasons, but Liam Robbins' play at the center position was big. Iowa's a tough matchup for Michigan, but let's move on. Indiana. This is a team that goes and upsets really good teams. Season sweep over Iowa. They've played Illinois tight. This is a team that can play with the best of them, but also has terrible games. I think Indiana will be ready to play for this one. This is going to be a dogfight. We'll see how Michigan responds because this is a type of game we might overlook. You got Illinois coming up in 3 days. Don't forget about Indiana. Don't forget about Indiana. This is a really tough 3-game stretch. 3 games in the span of 5 days. None of them are going to be easy. Michigan's going to have to be ready for them. Now you go to Illinois. Biggest game of the season. It was always going to be the biggest game of the season in my mind. But it's really important for the Big Ten title race because I honestly don't know if Illinois is losing another game this year. And if Michigan loses to Iowa or Indiana, the Illinois game is going to determine the Big Ten title. I want the Big Ten title. That game is going to be so important. I mean, I've just gone over Illinois. I mean, they have a potential Wooden Award guy in Io who people talk about Luka Garza. I would assume is just as good as Luka Garza. Now, Illinois' remaining schedule is slightly less favorable than Michigan's, but not extremely. They also play. Illinois takes on Ohio State as well as Wisconsin in their upcoming few games. Michigan only has to play Iowa and Illinois, so I think Illinois is a tougher schedule, but they're just as hot as Michigan. Watch this 3-game schedule, and then Michigan finishes off with 2 games against Michigan State. I don't want to say that those 2 games will be easy because they never are. Those are rivalry weekend games, or at least this is a rivalry weekend game. Both of them, Michigan State's going to come out ready to play. They're a desperate team. They're 5-9 in the Big Ten. They need some wins, and they're going to try to get both of those games off of us. They have talent. They got Aaron Henry, Racket Watts, Joey Hauser, just a lot of good players who, if they're playing well, are tough to beat. They were a top 5 team not because of their reputation. They had talent, and they haven't lived up to the talent. But Michigan State is still a team you cannot just expect to beat. So, yeah, that's the 5 games left in Michigan's season. I don't think they're going to squeeze any more in there. They've already added the Illinois game back to the schedule. As you can see, it's a jam-packed final 2 weeks, 1.5 week even. It's from Thursday, February 25th to Sunday, March 7th. In 1.5 weeks, Michigan has 5 games. That's a lot. If they can go 3-2 over that stretch, I'd be confident that they wrap up the Big Ten title game because I do think Illinois drops at least a game in the rest of the way, either to Michigan or to Ohio State or to Wisconsin. But that's the path to the title game, I think. Beat Iowa. Beat Indiana. Even if you lose to Illinois, you win these 2 games, you've got the title. The other option, the other alternative, is to beat everyone but Illinois, and then you still wrap it up anyway. So that's the video, guys. Drop a like if you want Michigan content. Drop a like if you hope Michigan wins the Big Ten title. Drop a like if you hope Michigan wins the national championship game. I have high hopes. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching. I'm sure Brad's coming out with more content tomorrow. And for now, peace.